first time ever. Good job. You did it.
So what I think I got going on here is to got my evaporust here with all the pieces and parts that came off the unit. And it looks like I had this muted, so let me go back over here real quick. What we did here was we used I used red, white craft paint, basic acrylic paint, and went in and painted the red and the white parts of that there, and then I used my finger to scrape back off of the chrome parts, just to leave the parts that were colored in the center. And I'm going to let that dry and just see how that comes out without having to add more red or white, because that looks pretty good. I also think that D probably is going to need to get filled in and then wiped back off, because you can kind of see that the D has much less, if any, fill in than the rest of the letters over there. So we're going to leave that there for right now. And now we're going to work on this bucket here, which essentially are all the pieces to the AC unit. They've been soaking in evaporust for a couple days, and I'm sure they're ready to be out of there and cleaned up. I'm just using a basic wire brush. This is just straight water. Put some gloves on. It's always good to have gloves available. Not that expensive, and they keep your hands from coming in contact with stuff that could possibly cause even just minor irritations. You never know what you're allergic to until you find out you're allergic, and that's not fun to find out that you're allergic to something that there's nobody else is allergic to, and you're an oddball. But it is what it is. So let's see what we have here. This was the back brace for the fan unit, and that came out pretty good. It came out really good. You can kind of see where it was sitting at the top of the level of the evaporust was just up to there. But I think we can live with that small amount that did not get coated, because the rest of it looks really good. Didn't need a whole lot. These pieces aren't really exposed to exterior elements. And just giving them a cleanup. Not like some of the other parts that really needed a significant amount of scrubbing to make the rust go away. This was very little. Interesting how that profile of that threaded bolt is actually, looks like it's, I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be or not, but it looks like it's flattened off on two sides, which is interesting. You know why that would be. Leave a comment. Let me know why you think that might be. There. Looks like I only had it on for subscribers. Don't have a lot of subscribers, so I might as well just make it available for everybody. Again, we're working on these pieces that were part of the dismantling of the AC unit. This is the back bracket that held the two halves of the case plus the fan in place. You can see where it was sitting in the evaporust, where this portion was not in the evaporust, and this portion was. You could see a significant difference in the restoration of the piece just from soaking. So I'm going to probably put that back in, the other side down, just because you can look. You can even see here on the how dark it is on this side where it was not in the evaporust, and how it's almost perfect, comes out perfect with it being in there. So I'm going to probably put that back in. Here's one of the brackets that holds down the that holds the fan unit down inside the case, and you can see that that's just coming right off. The paint's just coming right off. We'll be able to clear this out and repaint it, and it'll be ready to get back in the unit pretty quickly after it dries. Here comes the trash man. It's another side bracket. It's always interesting to see how these things are shaped, and just to try to imagine how the process went of trying to design a specific bracket to hold the side of the unit together based on the size of the dash and the size of the AC unit and the shape of the brackets themselves, and how they engineered that, prototyped it, bent it all together by hand, got the part approved, figured out a way to manufacture it for 600,000 cars, get it manufactured, tested, quality tested, make sure it actually fit, and then get it produced in such a way that it could be delivered to the line for use. I saw an interesting story just the other day. We're talking about early production cars and how they had what was called sweep up parts or maintenance parts or mop up parts. I think it's maybe sweep up parts is what they said. In that the same line, the same production line, you had Mustangs coming down the line, you had Fairlanes coming down the line, and Falcons coming down the line. So you had all these different cars coming down the line, and quite a few of the parts for each car was a common part that was usable on all 3 or 4 models that were coming down the line at the same time. And so if they ran out of the bin, I saw it on Jay Leno. They were talking about one of the cars that were on there, and the turn signal lever had a yellow knob on the end of it. And the gentleman was explaining that whenever they run out of parts, in order not to stop the line or stop production, they just run over and just grab whatever they can out of another parts bin, even if it wasn't exactly the correct one for the car, and just use it because it would fit. Which I thought was pretty fascinating, that could end up being on a production car that would be sent out. These are the main heavy brackets that go on the sides. That go on the sides of the unit. These were particularly corroded. They really didn't have any type of protective coating on them, I guess. from the factory, which is odd and strange to see some of the brackets that had black paint on them, and these did not, which obviously caused a lot of corrosion over the years. See two parts that were right next to each other. Kind of weird. You can see the part number there. It's coming out. Again, this was soaked probably 3 days. I would say 3 days in Evaporust, and not Evaporust that was new out of the container. It was used. It had been used before a couple of times, and it's just in a bucket, open. Evaporust has a tendency to evaporate away. So if you don't cover it, it'll actually turn into goo if you just leave it sitting out too long and not cover it. So, but that container I didn't have a lid for, so I didn't worry too much about it. They weren't going to stay in there too long. So, but 3 days is enough to get this piece back to bare metal from the surface corrosion that was on it. If you look back in the posts of me disassembling the AC unit, you would see all these brackets sitting on the bench and what they looked like before they went into the Evaporust. So you can pretty well compare the effectiveness of that versus not doing it, or sandblasting, or what other technique you like to use to clean off parts. I don't have a sandblaster, but I have buckets and I have an Amazon account. So this is the way that I use those things to make my parts not rusty anymore. Yeah, so here's, without scrubbing it, this is what it looks like coming right out. This is what it looks like after scrubbing it off. Same exact part, same exact exposure. A lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm taking pictures and stuff, it's got a lot of comments. You know, why don't you just buy a new one, throw it away, buy a new one, throw it away. Why bother? It's wasting too much time. But kind of the whole point of this is to, I don't know, the purpose is to restore. And to me, if you don't make any real efforts to restore stuff, to me it's just not as, there's just not as much into it. It'd be pretty easy just to buy all these pieces repro, fresh, clean, brand new, take them out of the box, put it all together and put it in the car. It'd be super easy to do. But by not doing this, I have more money to put into parts that I don't have and desperately need. Brackets is an unusually expensive item for some weird reason. Especially if you're trying to get stuff that's original. And productions are what they are. They are a reproduction of an original part. Sometimes they can look right, and sometimes they can be wrong. And sometimes when they're wrong, especially if they're wrong in certain linear dimensions and locations of holes and such, it can become a real source of frustration to try to make it work because they're close, but they're not exactly correct. And when they're close, that means things don't line up, holes don't line up, bolts don't line up, and then it becomes, in every little, a quarter inch over 6 feet multiplied 2 or 3 times, that's almost a full inch off at the end, and the eye can see differences like that. Very easily see differences like that. So anytime, in my opinion, anytime you can find an original piece, it's not broken, it's dirty, and you can save that piece from being thrown away and lost forever, then you should try. The other thing too is let's say you don't trust these old pieces, you want new pieces. This still has value to someone who's putting together an original concourse level car who doesn't have an AC unit and wants it and wants all the pieces to be absolutely 100% factory correct. If it doesn't mean anything to you, I can guarantee you at least one person really wants that piece and would appreciate you not throwing it away, giving it a basic once over to clean it up, wrapping it up in a box and sending it to them. And I'm sure that they will pay you for it. And getting paid for stuff that you were going to throw away with a little bit of minimal effort just to clean it, give it some care, getting a little money back so you can put money into other parts of your project, that's a very good thing. I have no idea where this little triangle guy came from. It's threaded, so there must be a screw that gets thrown into it. It fell out of the case. So I'm going to hang on to it because I have no idea where it goes. These were the side bolts. For a weird reason, the brackets are held on by two different size bolts, which is just the weirdest thing ever. And I don't know why that would be. They couldn't have just the same bolt on both locations. I don't know why one would need to be bigger than the other, but that's the way they did it. Yeah, see, look. That bolt there and that bolt there are next to each other in that large bracket on the side of the case. Why they wouldn't just use two of the exact same one is weird. But again, that's the way they did it. You see, this is super easy just to clean these guys up instead of throwing them out. A lot of these screws and bolts and such are very hard to find original anymore. Now here's another example. These clips, when you go to buy them as reproductions, they're not quite as wide across. They're probably about this wide. I don't know why they wouldn't just reproduce the whole thing. Maybe it's just cheaper because you get more out of a single piece of raw material. But if you want your clips to be the same size as the spaces on the case that they go into, you're going to have to find originals. So if you see some beat up AC cases that someone's just going to get rid of, tell them to grab the clips off of it and pay them a couple dollars for the clips, because I don't know that they're reproducing these correctly. At least the ones that I saw are much smaller and shorter than these originals. And again, as you go through your car and replace the stuff you feel like replacing, all the things you're replacing, I can guarantee you are valuable to somebody, even if just to make sure that they put together something that is original. Can't see what I'm doing down in here. Let's save those clips for last. Finish up with these screws. I was a volunteer at the local car show, Mid-Florida Mustang Club MCA car show this last weekend, and that was a blast. It was about 60, 70 first-gen cars that were there. A whole lot of 80s and 90s and 2000s and teens. So many Gen 5 and Gen 6s there was. It was just really crazy how many there were. I think they had over 250 cars in total, which was pretty impressive. Um, but it was fun to see what a variety of cars came out of the factory with a bunch of different crazy different options and combinations of things. And that's what they were also talking about on the Jay Leno video, was that Ford made its money in the options. The car was like $2,300, something like that, base price. And then they probably had 40, 45 different options you could add to that. And that was where it could end up being almost double the base price, almost 4,000 for a fully optioned car. And that's where all the profit came from, was the customization of the car, between the paint, seats, interior package, turn signal indicators, backup lights, emergency flashers. Believe it or not, were an option back then. It just was crazy. And to see all those cars in person, and to see a whole wide different variety of options from all over the country. You saw some cars from Wyoming, Colorado, California, New York. It was pretty cool to meet people. And I was a volunteer judge in the occasionally driven and the daily driven categories, not in a concourse. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. It's too much pressure. And I decided to kind of break the ice with the owners by just asking them out front, okay, how long have you had your car? And how did you find it? And some of the stories were pretty amazing with regards to how they ended up with the car. Even more amazing, really, than the cars themselves. Actually, some of the stories are pretty incredible. And it just goes to show that possession of one of these cars is just one part of it. It's really just one part of the experience. The journey in the relationship, as you bring a car back from destroyed, in my case, to functional, that journey in and of itself, I think, is actually really part of the whole package. I'm making great efforts to try to do as much of it as I can on my own, just to shoestring the budget as much as I can, because I know that every hour that I do this kind of stuff is an hour that I don't have to pay a shop a whole lot of money to do exactly what I can do on my own here, quietly in my garage. Oh, that wasn't good. So these are the important pieces that I was really making sure that I could get back to clean and weren't rusted out, which is the retaining clips for the registers, the round bullet type registers that go in the AC unit. There's one on top and one on the bottom of each of the 4 registers. So there's 8 of these little guys. And this is where the most corrosion was on the front of the case, down in the grooves where these things were holding in the registers. I was really worried that these were going to be all rusted out, but it looks like they're coming out perfect. The difference between buying reproduction registers with and without these clips is $10. So again, these are about $2.25 a piece, just that little piece of metal. So although I bought reproduction registers for $29.95 from Maryland Mustang, as opposed to the $39 ones that have the clips, I was still able to save the original pieces here. I'll show you the registers. They're not, I mean, the concept of trying to re-chrome plastic, it's a lot of money for what you're getting. It's environmentally bad. In fact, there's conversations going on right now about California banning all rechroming of parts because of how bad the chemicals are for the environment. And that's never a good thing. They're also bad for humans who work in places where they rechrome. So I decided to go ahead and just repurchase some reproductions rather than worrying about the ones that I have. I still have them. If someone wants to go through the expense of having those individual original parts rechromed, I'm certainly willing to send them to you. I wouldn't do it. Come on now. Come out of there. Put that guy up there. But these little clips. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop. Hold on. Hold still. Oh my gosh, what's happening here? I'm glad that these are not actually rusted out like I thought they were. It was just surface corrosion. And a couple of days in the evaporust bucket. And they're coming back to perfect. I'm never really sure if I should ever spray any of these things with clear or not. If you've ever done this kind of stuff here with these little clips, and you have any recommendations on whether I should just put them in as is, or if I should spray them with anything first, I mean, the car's going to get a fully pampered life for the rest of its life, rest of my life, at least another 40 years. If you have any recommendations, just give me a comment. I'm recording this just, because I know at some point the car will be here, but I won't. And I just want to be able to show that efforts were made to bring it back in what I feel is the right way. So my kids have something to go with the car that shows the visual history of how we brought it back. And to show that if I can do it, I've never done this before. Certainly anybody can do it. Evaporust is $25, $26 for a container, $30 at the most for a gallon. You can pour it in a bucket, throw your crap in there. A couple of days later, you take the crap out and scrub it with a cheapo wire brush. You probably get 3 of these for $5 on Amazon. This bucket I got from Ace Hardware. So it's buckets and brushes and rubber gloves and evaporust. And out from underneath all that schmutz comes a perfect, good, usable, original 1965 register retainer clip from a underdash AC unit. Weather is so nice today. God, I wish it. It's like, this is what really motivates me to keep working and keep going, is to see how beautiful the weather is right now and how perfect it would be to be able to take the car out and put the top down and just drive around Winter Garden, old Winter Garden, which is like a throwback to the 40s and the 50s, the way that the building architecture is. If you Google historic Winter Garden, Florida, Plant Street, you'll see what I'm talking about. The I believe it was Hulu or Netflix, I can't remember which, had a documentary series, not documentary. They had a TV series on the space race last year. And if you go to watch that TV series, much of that was filmed in Winter Garden. The small town scenes where they're getting on and off the bus, that's there. Where the phone booth is, and when they're having a phone conversation in the phone booth, that's filmed there. So a buddy of mine, talking about the space race. There's another, I think, a movie coming out with Scarlett Johansson and a couple other big name actors about the second part of the space race in the late 60s. And a couple of his cars are in the movie, which is pretty freaking cool. I always keep in the back of my mind all these different opportunities to be able to make use of the car. And part of the motivation to keep going is to be able to provide something for movies or TV or parades or photo shoots or whatever that allows the car to have a second, third, fourth, fifth life. In my case, I think I might be the fourth owner of this car, if I'm not mistaken. But this car hasn't been on the road since 1989, when it was involved in a pretty serious collision. So, the big countdown is really about a year from now. Well, one day less than a year from today, actually, is the next MCA show here in Central Florida. And that comes right before the 60th anniversary of the introduction of the Mustang in 2024. So I really want to have a finished, functioning, operational, working, restored car in the next 364 days. Not just for the local show, but to be able to take part in what is certainly going to be some amazing national events for the 60th anniversary. I've seen videos and pictures of the 50th anniversary of the Mustang, and it looked like it was a lot of fun. All right, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 2 more of these guys somewhere in this goop. Somewhere. Let me pull everything out. Little washers and other little screws and bolts. I'm just going to put these over here for now. Now that I got those guys, I want to get the other ones out. All right, where are you at? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, one more. Please tell me I didn't lose. Oh, maybe one fell in the bucket. Did one fall in the bucket? I think one fell in the bucket. Let's check. Oh, haha! Whew! About to have a heart attack. I don't think you can buy just one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, great. All right, we are on our way. We're hauling bread. It's great to see these things come back and being all tarnished and rusty and all that nastiness. I don't know why I enjoy it. For some reason, I really enjoy this part of it. All these little pieces. When I was taking apart 3 complete sets of, 2.5 complete sets of front spindles, man, they were just covered. Go back on the Facebook page and take a look at the posts about those spindles that I got with the brake components attached. They were as black as this. They were as dark as that. The whole thing. I put them in degreaser for a week, scrubbed them, put them in Vaporust for a week. It was pretty crazy what I went through to get those pieces and parts clean. All right, looks like we got all 8. I think there's nothing left in here. I can put that up. I can dump that water. I should probably finish these guys. I'm impatient, what can I tell you? Oh, it helps to have a good chair, a good sitting position. Of course, nice weather doesn't hurt at all this process. Couple of washers. Garbage truck going by. All right, I think we are done with this part. Done, 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 and done, and done. Done. These are all the pieces parts. They go dump this rust water. You can reuse evaporust. You don't have to throw it away. It works great, no matter how many times you use it. Be right back. All right. So now the next thing we do is, I guess I can do it right on the table for you. So I learned this trick from Adam Savage on Tested. And if you're looking to dry things with a pretty gentle heat, all you need is a case container to make your oven off of. Basically, I just use the box and something to put your parts on. So you basically take this. See if we can get all these on here at the same time. Good. Basically take all these pieces and parts. Come on now. Basically just stick them in there like that. and you get yourself a basic heat gun, preferably one that's got a little foot on it that you can set down on a table. And then you turn it on. Oven. And it's pretty gentle heat. And it'll circulate through there, come back out, and just do a nice job of creating a nice, warm environment. Draw all the moisture off of those pieces. I can feel it warming up now. This looks pretty good. It's not perfect. It's a lot better than what it was when we first started. All right, so let's take a look at these. Maybe I'll transfer them to a dry paper towel just to give them more opportunity to dry off, especially these little clippy guys. And let's see. This guy's totally dry. He's warm. He's totally dry. This one's still got a little bit of wet in here. This bracket is completely dry. This one's still, I don't know if that's, not sure what that is. I might have to scrub that back out a little bit. We'll put all the rest of these guys on here. Thought I had more clips that came off of that case. I think I only may have had one. Or it might still be down in the evaporust. That's why you don't want to just dump your evaporust, because you never know what's still down in there. This looks pretty good. Look at that. It's pretty crazy how that looks. So we're going to put all this back in there. Here's some more. We'll put this guy back in here for a second round. Now it's interesting. Like I said, I thought I had more clips than this. I do. It never ended up in the evaporust. So here's evaporust and not. This rusted out looking thing became this guy, all nice and shiny. I'm gonna have to soak this guy before I actually put the whole thing really back together. I forgot to put this clip in here, and that's for the emblem to go in the front of the case. So just so you can see how all this goes together, as best as I can make it go together. There's the two knobs for the front. There's the emblem for the front. And I'm just going to do the front part of the case today with what I have. I haven't decided how I'm rebuilding this yet. I have an idea that I can just use it as an airbox and redirect through a classic air, vintage air unit to the back of it. I have an idea that I can actually do that. I'm pretty sure I can. Just a matter of working out the routing of the air. So here's what I have. That. Let's see if I got anything that can make this stand up. There. There we go. So there's the box that we worked out. Getting that together. This is the front that we actually did the repainting and the quad zero steel wool. Scrape this back with sandpaper, and this is where that emblem goes, right in there, like that. And then this clip goes on the back, like so. Let me get my nut driver. It's crooked. I don't know if I can get it straight because it's got a centering pin on it, but to me it looks crooked. I don't know. Does it look crooked to you? I guess it's right. I'll push it as far to the side as I can. That's about the best we can do with that. So then, here's how the case came out. And it's interesting to see, for example, where that bracket covers. You can see where that bracket, where's that at? That bracket covers. That, maybe, let's see. Can't remember. Oh, this one here. So that bracket goes right there. And you can see which the parts that were not exposed to the sun. You can see it right there. Not exposed to the sun. Much darker than the rest of the case. So when I did it in black, about 2 light coats, 3 light coats, this took the black much better than, say, this part that was exposed and this part that was super exposed and super faded. Same way on this side, you can see where it's faded, where the bracket doesn't cover on that side for the exposure to the sun. But that's okay. It actually brings it back a little bit more so than just leaving it the gray. It brings it back. It's hard to see on camera, but it definitely brings back, and it keeps and it retains. I think I'm glad I painted this, because I think it'll help protect this fibrous stuff in the fiberglass. And it wasn't cracked, it wasn't broken, there wasn't anything wrong with it. It just was super faded. So I just shot it with Canyon Black, Rust-Oleum, just light coats, just to kind of bring back that contrast between the highs and the lows. So now let's take a look at the. I didn't do anything with these except clean them up. They are pretty faded, but I don't think I have a problem with that, because they're not really that bad. I mean, they're really fine. And there's a rubber gasket here. I have to pull the gasket off if I was going to paint them, but I don't think that they really need to be done any more than that. So let me pull the new registers I just got. And I've not opened this box yet. So this is an unboxing video. Didn't know it was going to be that way, but this is what it is. And these came from, again, Maryland Mustang, which is one of the companies I really like to buy from. And I'll also show you the originals. So these were after they were cleaned. So I'm sure there's quite a few different ways to try to bring back some of that chrome. That one's pretty bad. To try to bring back some of this chrome on these pieces. But I don't have the money for that. I'm sure it's more than $30. So I'm going to hold on to these until I come up with or discover an appropriate way, a safe way to bring these guys back if possible. So let's put these over here. And open up these guys. And right away you can see it's a pretty obvious difference, duh. Now let's take a look at them side by side and see what we have here. So I noticed that the hole is smaller than the original. It appears smaller to me, to the reproduction, Width looks to be about the same. Dimensions look to be about the same. Now just bear in mind and remember that a 65 has these two rings. A 66 does not have this center ring, just the outside with the fins. That's the difference between a 65, which is this one, and a 66. So it's interesting. Let's see if these clips, oh yeah, they'll work. They go right in there. There's no problem there with those going in. The mold seam seems to be about the same. The center piece might be smaller. I don't know. Maybe. It's hard to really tell for sure. It might just be tapered more on the outside, or maybe I have it upside down. I don't know. I never really thought that there might be a front and a back to these. Difficult to really know for sure. Yeah, you can kind of look at the profile here. See if I can get this right. You look at the profile. I think the profile is a little thinner on here than it is on this one. And it may stick out a little further. So those are the observable differences that I see. I don't see any other differences on here. I don't think there's even a part number on this. So let's see how this goes in reinstalling these into here. I know it wasn't easy to get these guys into these, because there's a ring right in here, and then this sits inside there like that, and in that hole, goes there, and another clip goes on the opposite side. So I don't remember how I took these apart. I wonder if, let's see, just see what happens. Okay, that must be in. And now I gotta figure out how to get this guy in here. Let's see if I can just do it by hand. I know that I had to use a screwdriver, which I really didn't want to do to the other ones. The compression is really challenging, and I'm going from the front to the back in case I scratch any part of it. I'll scratch the back side and not the front. If you know how to do this, save me from myself. Okay, maybe I do it that way. I do. Oop, that went in. Hey, I did it. I think. Did I? I did. I did it. Now I wonder if they're supposed to be like this, or if they're supposed to be the other way. I don't know. I guess straight up, but it looks like you can move them all the way around. All right, hey, one for the team. And it looks like you have to make sure you kind of center them, because they can move around independently, the two clips. So I got one. That's exciting. A small victory for today. And I need small victories. We all can use small victories every day, right? Every day. Just count your blessings. Every day you're alive is a good day to be alive. Be happy with what you have. Always be looking for more. Always be looking to improve a little bit every day. And you'll make it happen. 1% improvement over 100 days is 100% improvement in a little more than 3 months. How about that? Okay, so let's see if I can do this the same way. Could I do two of them in a row? Could I be so lucky as to make two of these guys go? Let's see. And again, what I'm doing is I don't think I have either clip in place. I'm just rolling it in as best I can. That was, it seems a lot easier than it's supposed to be, but I guess not. I really don't like that, but I can't do anything about that. So I'm going to put it on the inside rather than the outside. This one's on this side, so these two are on the inside here. I may take those back out. No, you can't really sand that because then you're going to sand the finish. So this is where we are so far. Looking good so far. Thank God for small victories every day. These are individually wrapped, which is nice. And individually bagged, which is nice. Kind of wish they would have. I kind of wish they would have dealt with that mold issue before they chromed it. But there's a little clip and a little clip right there. It's really not as hard as I thought it was going to be, guys. Really not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Sometimes in life, things that seem impossible in reality are not nearly as hard as you think they're going to be. Now, of course, the rest of this over here, this guy, been kicking my rear end for quite some time. But whenever you get frustrated with the hard stuff, it doesn't look like it's ever going to end or ever get any better. I would recommend always having little projects like this on the side, putting a bunch of the stuff off to the side. And when you get frustrated and challenged with that, you pick up a table and get a chair and work on something that'll give you a positive result in a short period of time to keep your motivation up, keep up your morale here in your workshop. All right, coming down to the finish line. What did I do? I put that one to the center. Put that one to that side. I probably will switch these back out again. Let's put this guy on this side because I'm probably going to turn it towards me. Yeah, probably going to turn this towards me. All right. Now this switch is broken, so I cannot replace that knob. This switch, I don't know if the switch is functioning. And I don't know if these are filled in or not. If they are, I'm going to paint these and then sand them back chrome so that you can see that. But that is a completed. I'm really happy with that.
No.
Hey, really happy with that. All right, guys, I'm at a stopping point right now. I think we've done everything we can do right now with what we've got. And I'm very impressed with how this came out, considering where we were at the beginning. So do not be afraid to try this. Do not be afraid, and do not throw these away before you try, because all you can do is try and try to get your techniques down, even if they don't come out the way you like the first time. All right, so I am signing off. It's good to be live. On to the next adventure.